line connection interference, all system. Going through calculations, high streams. It's all levels of view, how you interline this position calculations. Just got some new specs. There's the translucence pattern locations. New computer operation line centers, light interference, position location on a line system position. So it's pretty powerful. When you go outside on the sun location, there's shades, sunglasses. It's really cool. So in position, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the pyramid lines, the Elixir location, cosmic fire, cosmic flame, calculate stream interference location to serpent fire, serpent flame line system. So in position location, it's all set up through code lines. To understand the levels of view is the hieroglyphic location. Let's say you get a pyramid position of direction. Okay. You start with that line, right? Correlate its system locations, all right? So you can see one line center, but you only see the face line communication, right? So the center line connection is all levels of travel. It's how you recognize your timelines and clocking location, right? Travel position location outline, travel position location outline, but you always have to have a triangulation. It can't be offline. It has to be in position of location, right? So you guys are going to come into all levels how to put yourself through your archives, contracts, blueprints, and your custom records. We're going to go there today. The central line communication at test rate line and rotation calculation is interference. So it's kind of like going through this line connection, all levels, all right? So it tracks this line connection like this. So it's kind of like going through layers and layers and layers of position location of calculation. Okay. So this is all about understanding what you are doing when you are traveling through your AI vessel of communication, right? So think of it as a library. Okay, start out that location. Now, as you travel through it, it's going to be highline center location. All right. So it's all wires. It's all electrical light condition interference. It's all position directions. So we're going to put you in this central line. It's going to go to all communication lines, center location of wires and interference. So you're going to travel through wire communication, right? Setting code locations. This is how we get into all levels. I got to get you guys in your pyramids. Your pyramid is inside line. And you have to learn how to use the cosmic view, the cosmic high center interference, electrical light condition interference, how to use the cosmic flame, that position location of its directions, right? You have infinitive flame, cosmic flame, and sacred flame, okay? So the definitive is basically how to use the voice box channel, the communication system, open all correlations. It channels its position location, how fast you do these things. You go through high interference, you go through pyramid changes, pyramid line, center line calculations. So we got 3 line weathers, rotation locations of the sun through moon line connection. Okay, hieroglyphics. Now the channel line center opens all line streams. We go through line rotation calculations, all right? It's kind of like connected to all the Niles River. Now you go line center interference, this is location directions. We set up the line signals, all right? It's all in position location directions, guys. You have to learn how to use this. So I'm just line crossing the stream centers. You guys are going to go to the meridians and the ferrules because they protect everything. You have to identify your system. You know, you would generally have, you have no problem. Don't freeze up. You're going to see what you need to see. They're there to help you. They're there to guide you and to help you at position location. But the Acosta records is extremely, extremely protected in our level system. It's sacred. And it's only given to people that understand their system, more levels of track location, travel direction of time. But to understand that you are an AI vessel, and that vessel has to understand its position location calculations, high channel operation. All right. Now, you're going to travel through each wire line. And each wire line is going to represent your contracts and blueprints and give you a little bit more information location, all right? It's going to high channel your hieroglyphic locations in its position. You have 3 weather line centers and eye interference locations to the sun line in communications to the moon rotation calculation. See the intelligence? Now, the intelligence understands position of directions, but you have to understand the correlation. You have to understand what you're doing when you're going through a library, because there's line center location on the left and position location on the right. Now, using the cosmic flame, the elixir, and position locations helps in all ways and forms, especially when you come into the serpent plane. Now, it's a correlation interference, so it kind of looks like an Egyptian position of a maze, because that's what it is. To understand the interdimensional system is to understand the pyramid, not from the outline, but when you walk in the center position, it's nothing but a hallway. And that hallway is a representation of you inside location, right? So there's keys to everything through the dimensional setting. It coordinates its position, location, and direction, and how fast you channel your lines. It's incredible how you go in acceleration line position. Let's say you get into 5,000 line condition capacity per second. That capacity is the position of its directions. That's how fast you can travel through wire line center location to a pyramid. Each pyramid represents you in position like a telephone. You know, like ring, 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 ring. All different tones coming to different direct locations to the laser. High position location directions opens all communications to your templates. A high position location to high line conditions. All right. Opening up the door location to its calculation. Right. Now it's going to be a little bit off position. You're going to feel like, ooh. So it's all about understanding what you're doing from inside line to outside position, location, and calculations. All right. Getting you guys ready to travel through your own calculation. And it's cosmic records, contracts, and blueprints. All right. So travel position, locations, calculations, triangle force line. It's coming out position. Coming into infusion location, heart reactor to its calculation, setting course line channels. All right, see it? From there to there. Now that sets position, location, of directions. That highlines its center operation to its atom. So the automatic line stream in position location is coming into all levels of transaction location mutation, right? So in that line interference, you guys are going to turn into wire line connection. That's the only way you can get position location directions. So travel through that line center, you use the key. The key opens up each archive location to one box location. So it's like digital frames of a ski line, which is connected to a Skyforce, which is connected to all levels of lock line center location, the grids. Grids information to the box system, perception location, and calculations. Open all channel line center interference. So it comes in modification of stream and locations into golden line center. Now that gold comes into high force lines. It's very protected and very sacred. So we come into this correlation in position. The triangulation force line changes all line connection position and how you represent your line connections. Atom stays in the center of the position, location, of calculation. All right? So it travels through the center line and opens all communication to its archives, its contracts, and its blueprints line system. Right? From there to there. Right? So it's very interesting how we look at life. And life is all levels from inside position. Everything has a lock and door, right? The key opens up everything through its dimensional line connection. All right. So setting position of directions puts you in a better track line. Now this puts visual locations. Now we're going to go through a black into purple cross line. And that cross line is going to open all sequence patterns in rotation center. We start with the center rotation. Okay, it's going to travel line center interference. Set in position locations right down into the grounds into all levels. Ground line opening location. Right? That opens all position location to a flux capacitor. Now that flux capacitor has to channel into the center line connection of its position of its triangle. Now it's set in line system. Allocate time strain interference, change the sun line connection to the moon interference to 3 weather patterns. Right? Putting you guys into the biochannel. Biosphere line rotation calculations. It's kind of like connection to levels of cyberspace. But the connection where it comes into its hall is its intergalactic to its interfacing to its interdimensional line. That changes locations on line system, location and position of time. All right, see the green lines? All right, so the green lines come into all levels, position, location, and calculations. High channels, high line centers, and structures. Okay, now You come in high interference, it changes on line. So you go into vector communication to all position, location, and direction, right? You channel right through the center and you open up its atom line in its rotation system. This correlates all line connections to all levels and how you see yourself in a universal location, right? Channels down into 3 waving cycles, right? In position of directions. It's really fascinating to set these things up. So as it's set in line center location, it comes into the magnetic highway information line connections, right? You guys are going to travel through the pyramid line center. Point dot line center interference. Here you guys are going to travel location. 1, 2, 3. All right, so you guys are traveling through that right now. I got the core line center set up in rotation, calculations, light stream, high center line rotation. Now this is going to go to higher line center. 3 line communication system, down and line cross, 3 location positions. All right, you guys are traveling locations. All up to the core line center interference of the sectors, vectors, quadrants. The interdimensional line sectors and communication to quadrant line center. Now, quadrant line center is a rotation interference. That puts you in archive locations to a structure of its library. Getting connected to all levels of your contracts, blueprints, and your costing rep locations. I really want you guys to really channel inside line and to understand the calculation of the pharaohs, the meridians, how you were put position locations of Hathor, Hades, Scorpius, Hermes, all that line track locations, right? Understand the intelligent line system, King Tut, the mummy's tomb, all levels of Cleopatra, the ancient line center interference, the connections to the relics, the gold, the position locations, why it was on so many lines of covenants, high center track line interference, and position location and direction. All right. So 20 minutes on the dial line center location calculations. Have fun. All right. So that's set in position. You understand the calculation, how it comes into all levels of purple, into all levels of green. Okay. Mixture and pattern communication line stream interference location and position. But you have to use how line center location, hieroglyphic locations of the sun and the moon, and 3 pattern line rotation calculations. Opens up all positions of your structure of your pyramid system through the cosmic high center location of its flame, into the elixir, into all position locations to its serpent fire. All right. So countdown on high center, position location directions. We're going to go through white graph line center stream. All right. So in position locations, how's everybody doing? Pam, communication, Lindsay, Terry, Don, Jill, Ambi, Airbender, Val. It's great to see everybody. Johnny, Michael, JP, Sandra. It's great to see new people. For the new people, yeah, deep voice location. Basically, try to understand that your pyramid is all levels of you. But if you understand the AI vessel is an inner center, an inner line center is an interface position, location, and directions, right? So if you look at me, what's inside is interdimensional, which is connected to a hallway. So it's like going, you keep running, you keep running, you keep running, and this door just keeps going more, and you keep running, you can't reach that door. That's interdimensional. To understand the communication is understand the connections to hieroglyphic location of a structure. Each pyramid is represented to you, okay? That's connected to your contracts and your blueprints and your cosmic records, but you have to understand more information location to its connections because you guys are AI vessels of transmitting and receiving information. You have to learn how to decipher these things over time. This positions you through your light language, at all cost when it comes to that connections. Oh, I understand the entering communication system, right? So that platitude's division locations right there. Calculation, modification, line stream interference, right? How to understand the light signatures of you through travel. You're in a 24,000 light signature to a 48,000 window to a 72 computer line center interference of 72,000 track line center locations of 1 atom rotation. That's in calculation modification of 144. So if you understand the 4 line track locations, 5, which opens this system. 6 is the center line, and 7 is its rotation of its core. Recognition of you, how to use all levels inside the grounds, the positions of the fire, the air, and the water of you inside, right? This is understanding the frame line center when it comes into pyramid interference. Now, pyramid interference is all levels of interfacing. That gives you a better understanding. So let's get into the hieroglyphic location of channel. Channel operation line interference. It's very powerful when you travel locations. All right. So hieroglyphics is very complicated if you understand what you're doing through calculations. It high positions its direction. Okay. You start off with this, saying, what does this all mean? Anything, position, location of directions. But you have to understand why these things are set up to understand position, location, of calculation, right? You see it on rock formations, you see it on stones, you see it on pebbles, you see it on the grounds. Everything is communication through AI. You just have to understand it through recognition line, center, location, and triangulation. That's it. So it's set up location, there it is. There's a crop circle coming in, location to a system. So once you understand the triangulation force communication line streams, this opens all levels of track locations, opens up position location to its pyramid. The pyramid automatically opens all line center. Let's say 3 line center location of travel. It's a rotation system. So you got 3 line signals, you got 6 positions, and you got 9 location. All right. Opening up communication line stream is to understand the connections to the pyramid. The cosmic universal line is a channel operation location to its serpent flame. Serpent flame is a correlation line connection to connections. It's a core line center that connects to the key. Open up the dimension, open up the door, now you're in. All right. So it's understanding how to use your voice box channel communication to its triangulation line connection. So that's a basic understanding. Anything that you see in structure. So you see the connection like this, all levels, like that, like this. You see this, position, location, and calculations. It's interesting how you see these things. All right, just you see stuff like this in position. And then you see the sun, right? You say, what's going on? This is interesting. It's hieroglyphic location of structure, right? And then you see this come across location, to understand what that is, right? And then you see this, to understand what that is, right? So it's all sequence location. Now, this is the pharaohs. Now, understanding line center location as we see the sun location of its mountain on a peak, right? Position, location, directions. Signaling line center, a 3-line position, location, calculation. Now, everything has a future line. Now, that lots the system line rotation calculation to the I line center to the pharaoh communication, which puts into triangulation. Okay? Triangulation all line center position to the ground line system opens all communication to its weather pattern and calculation to its stream. All right? So you have to understand, basically, triangulation is number 1, guys, because you have to understand how to communicate through anything through frame line center to all levels of a pyramid. You look at a pyramid, and it has all this hieroglyphic location of structure. It's all connected to you inside. So you have a pyramid in position locations, right? You see the sun, you see somebody walking, you see the moon, okay? So it's all position, location, and directions, what it looks like, right? So it's all position, the 3, 6, and 9. But it has a 12-line center. That 12 comes into 3, right? 3 equals 12, right? So 12 comes into 3. Now that changed the sundial into all-line and vector communication to triangulation. Now the triangulation opens up graph interference, electrical board line center, okay? Now that position location of its directions, all right? So 9 goes back into the center line, opens all dimensional location, it travels through a 12 DNA track location. In that position location, 6 basically goes into all levels, into the 9-line center. Position locations retracts information to its 12-line signal of its DNA location. All right? So that's how you travel through a clocking system of a pyramid. So that position location is its directions. right? There's so many ways to do this. So understanding the structure of hieroglyphics or anything with correlation, try to understand box equals weather. Now you got two weather lines. Box equals two weather. So the weather line center location is up and the weather line center location is down, but the center line conditions equals line all levels of cosmos. Okay, equals cosmos. Anything through weather is cosmos, galaxy, universe line center. It has weather line interference. 3 weather, 4 line equals location of weather. All right. So once you understand that, you understand your position locations of calculations to all levels, northwest, south, and east. In position locations, the center line connections, it's like a story frame. It's like you're putting things in position of picture and you're trying to understand the line center location of structure. So you got calculation northwest, south, and east, and you go back into the box center in position location directions. You open up the flux capacitor to its position location of 3-line connection, right? And then you open up the signals, right? Okay, and then you downshift and into the center line. You go back in the center position here. You go into a flux capacitor here line connection, bring it down position location to calculations. So it's all about traveling through both line connections. Now, if you want a triangulation line center, you can go into one line position, okay, and do telecommunication system. Allocate time stream in the center line, go in the center line conditions, the levels of its weather, circle the rotation line stream interference, and travel through its position location or track locations back in position of the center line condition of the box system. Ooh-ah, all through triangulation. So it's interesting how we basically set our signals, our alpha channels, our communication line stream, anything through delta waves, beta communications, or anything through all levels. When you come into a mega communications center operation line connections, all levels of graph interference, 12 line, 25, 30, 50 line position location of travel locations, right? Security measures and parameters and parameter line center. All right. So this is how all levels takes the alphabetical line stream out of correlation to its panel and puts everything in weather in communications to travel location into 50 line communication centers. So it's all about understanding how to use the 4 levels of weather in position of northwest, south, and east into line position, because this is all levels of the diamond core, but it's your position locations to highline channel to communication line center location to your tesseract of your tetrahedron. All right. So there's a lot of things you have to understand when you travel, because the pyramid is basically all channels of view of operation. It's how to use the geometrics. It's how to use the geometry of foundation. It's how to use the geographical system. You have to understand how to do this all through navigation, guys. All right. Everything is communication, right? So, all right. So it's interesting to look at that thing. And any of that level will understand your line centers. Let's say you got a pyramid, locked in system, all levels of position location to a keyboard. Okay. So you got the keyboard setup position, direction. Computers are so different in spaceline. That's a computer. So understand the computer is all line position location direction. All right. That's one computer. It doesn't have to be a rectangle. It doesn't have to be a box. It has a frame just like anything else, but that is a computer line. Now the computer line position location of shapes, letters, numbers, and symbols. It tracks its location to high line, center location, and travel location of triangles. Now understanding line interference is to understand all levels. All right, so you can create its position location higher force line. All right, travel position location on line in position location directions. So you have to truly understand what a pyramid is in all line condition. This gives you a better understanding how to see things in a level in position to a hallway. Hallway comes in position location of its realism, travel through it location to its arc location. Arc comes into higher line center of a security line position of structure. Protecting that line center comes into another position, into another position, and into another position location. Okay? So it's walking the signal on high line centers, right? You got the signaling lines in communication, right? So basically, what it is, it's interdimensional. And when you walk in, it's amazing. Like it's like looking at the galaxy from inside. So you see the pyramid here, right? And you realize you're already here. Okay, you're already here. So you start, you know, you're going in the hallway location, right? So you're walking, 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 and each position location has its archive of locations, right? Position of direction. All right. So this option always informs. Now, once you get the laser direction line centers, you get one pyramid here, another pyramid here, another pyramid here, another pyramid here, and you are in the center, right? So all you got to do is laser direct locations in position. Usually you go through all levels of security line. We use the security line, which is all levels of red, right? So you start with the center line. Okay, you get position locations, right? You got 3-track location line system, like a stand. Now that one's open all communication line interference into higher location of sonar. Set signal location. There's the box location. Triangulation. You stay in the center line. X2000 comes in. Sees position locations. Center's position of the center. Triangulation. Right? So the X2000 triangulates 2-line interference. And we get a low grounder. Now these are basically set up graph locations. There's a low grounder coming in triangulation, scanning this, triangulation. There it is. It's all set up. All right. So what a pyramid is and what it's doing is it's directing and redirecting structure. It's creating a hologram of a grid. All right. So your position of direction is to understanding what you're doing through calculations. Okay. How to understand the triangulation of everything. So when you're using sonified line center interference, electrical line wires, or communication system, you can use delta wave line channel in direct location X2000, okay? Or you can use a coloration path into the ground line center interference to the low ground locations of X2000. Or you can use a higher line position location of channel into the sun line communication. High forces, high interference of pyramid location, right? Or you can downshift and use waterline change locations, position levels, how you use the oceans and ionic line center interference, right? So it's amazing how you correlate locations all through pyramids. So pyramids basically are like security barriers. Setting structure is all levels of the X2000. Remember, you set the grid, they set up the shape. So you have to understand how to use your pyramid lines in communication to its laser. Laser comes in, comes right from the grounds, and comes up to the center and spurts out in all direction location, in position location. All right? So it gets pinged on so many centers. But the pyramid sets line string, but it always has a security line perimeter, center line position, right? Tracks line center and position location calculations. Walking signal into another pyramid line center location of downshift in position to high line channel to a high line position location, higher measures of communication system. All right. So this is what's protecting the pyramid. All right. Structure line centers is all those across locations. All right. It channels its high line center of its grid formation location at future line. It opens all communication system. Right. So that's why you have pyramids, to set up structures on the ground formations. All right. All right. Let's see. Mine keeps stopping. Here's the hieroglyphics symbol, spelling wrong. Plotted to right. Sun god, pyramid line centers to my avatar. Observe tunnel, functioning plasma lights, silver channels, copper dragon wires. Let's see. Key of life, opening all portals of my spine, line center. Double light, saber kills rebooting. Amazing. Yes, it is amazing what you're seeing locations, why it's so important. Gypsy, you doing? Previous classes really cleared out this library status. Oh, it does. I hear you. Following a certain set of hieroglyphics to go deeper into the library. Rufus is leading the way and grabs some sand from the floor and blow it down the hallway and doing my light language. Excellent. Beautiful. Nice. See, you get in that connection. Suddenly sitting on a throne in a chamber, pool of water, in the center more thrones. Around the perimeter of the chamber, singing into the pool, creating thematic patterns on the pool of surface. Beautiful, Joe. Traveling through flower of line center of coralline to diamond heart reactor. I've been down this hallway before. Nishabjani. Harmonization. Yes, protecting halls. Yeah. The sacred is protected in all ways and forms, guys. But I want you to get a true understanding what a pyramid is and why it's in position, location, and calculation. All right? You have to truly understand how to use it all through connections of sonar. So that's 4 different signals of sonar lines in location: alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega. Right? That locations. But you have to really, really understand what you're doing through travel location. Right? So the drawing sequence is all levels of you. It's the program location, how you use your thought lines. It position, location, and directions. Right? So let's say you get into the pyramid line again. Okay. There's the pyramid line. Now the rotation center link comes in X2000 and 2 waving cycles. They communicate with each other, right? In that line center interference. So this is true understanding. If you're trying to set up a geometry interference, there's an X2000 coming in right away, especially if you don't know what you're doing. They scanned what you're doing. And if it's not in right signal locations, they will take it out of their track and put it in position back where it's supposed to be, which they'll make it disappear, right? So if it's not supposed to be there, they take it away. You understand? So that's important. You have to understand how to use the communication of you through memory. And you understand, oh, I understand the correlation line connections. I got box, position, location, directions, travel line, center, location, calculation. All right? So once you get that, next T1000 comes in, scans the ground line center, rotation, calculation, you communicate with each other, right? If it's right signal location, they center into the center line communication, right? They center its position. They open up more dimensional door lines in calculations, guys. That's what they do. They set up wind tunnels in high interference location and 3-line communication circle location, right? So once you get in that position, you go to a higher level location, right? Once you get into that position, the dimensional opens up more line connections of information, right? And then you do security defense. You're always protecting your location. You're always in a tube line. So if the calculation is all right, the scan line centers, the X2000 comes back in you and regenerates its line center location to its heart of its infusion line. Your understanding of the ground location of the power line is its projector location to the sun line, which is also projector location to the moon, because it's sun location of light and the moon position of program, which is your emotional system. Your vibration is its connection to the line when it comes into the X2000s. They read each line signature of vibration to its calculations per second per channel. Right? So your position, location, all levels, your vibration is nothing but a graph. Multipass. Okay? If your vibrations are offline track in position, let's say you go within coloration, you do the same thing again, overlap location of signals, you're in a higher formation of a grid, right? It positions those directions, more X2000s come in, and they set up locations, okay, of its structure, right? So once you understand the vibration, if your vibration is in a coloration change position, but it doesn't understand its position location, it's all line, low signals, X2000s comes back in, scans position all directions, and brings the vibration back into the center of calculation. It brings it back up into the center line. So any mistake that you make, they correct, right? So it's about understanding what you do and what you don't do, what you see and what you don't see, what you can do, and always informs. So if you don't understand what you're doing and you're sending something up and your vibrations have changed, they know exactly your human resonance. It's connected to the levels of your impulse. So it connects all the lines of vibration locations. They know if you're scared, they know if you're angry, they know if you're stressed, if you're depressed, or any line connections, right? It all depends on you through your vibration, because your vibration is setting up signals. Okay, and those signals are numbers. They're setting location. These are numbers of vibration locations, guys. These are all numbers of vibration. X2000 picks everything up. So an XT1000 comes in again, scans the number line center, 3-line center. Okay, that's a 3-line, way above standard location. This is a 6-line. In position location, this is a 3-line. Okay, so this is off signal. 3's here, but 3's over here. So the 3 understand the 3 location line conditions, so it just audio jumped. So the XT1000 on the opposite line center locations has to put directions back in its vibration location of its balance line signal and put redirect location to number sequence back in calculation, which is 0101013. Right? Once it gets its correlation, it comes into ground line center, calculates and modify all levels of its high connection of its pyramid, sets signal location to its vector line communication system, sets up an energy light triangle, scans its position location directions, the XT1000's high line center positions, scans line center, triangulation, signal interference done through equation. All right. So very powerful when you understand location electrical line centers or anything through your megahertz, your communication cyclones, your high line centers, your rhythm patterns, your colorations, your pattern line interference, your vibrational location is all levels of you. And what happens next with your thoughts? Your thoughts are vibration. You're sending out tones. You're sending out communication. You're sending out digital numbers. So any number sequence that's off position location, they retract and reframe back in position, back in the center line, center location to your pyramid activation system, which is all correlation of its connection. All right. So you want to know what a pyramid is? Now you know. At least you got the basic understanding how it works. All right. I know it's just mind-blowing. All right. Eyes wide. Let's see. Too fast for me to draw out. Whoa, wowzers. Yeah, you'll be watching this over and over again. All right. So once it's in signaling pattern, the correlation line center comes into all levels, microbinomial to the binary line center. Now, the binary line center is just a graph. Position locations, one line connection into another line position location. Now, torical field is in the center line. That's a rotation. Spin cycle location of grounds into the atmosphere location, position, and direction. All right. Now, understanding the high line center is all calculated. It's modified. So you come into the flux capacitor and position location of directions. High channels on one line center to the other line rotation calculations. This is where it comes into all levels of a cloud. Now that cloud sets line center location to higher position locations of your diamond core. That relines its position locations to its measure. Now that measure comes into the laser direction locations. This is where it comes into a crystal activation stream. Okay, into 1, 2, and 3 line center locations of position. All right, setting high center interference. Now, understanding position locations to a binary line center is its position location of calculations. All right, string line center, XT1000 comes in both locations. Remember, they scan everything, making sure you know what you're doing. They scan this line connection, they scan this line connections, and they scan this line connection, all line center rotation. So once that's in division locations, they take all the information, all right, and they plat a division location to the grounds. And that's how you set up location of crop circles in all position location of its directions to its point system. So there's a lot of things you have to understand how to use your binary ring lines, relays, communication, computer reset line conditions, overloading line centers, overdrive location. Okay, equals drive. Over equals drive. Drive line center. All right, drive line equals center equals XT. Okay, equals hologram. Okay, hologram / structure. In position to direction, right? So what you're doing is you're overdriving line center location. You're setting division line center location levels into communication line system, position to XT1000s, getting them to set up location to its structure, interference location to its position, to its structure location of its schematics. Skymetics, not schematics, skymetics. Totally different AMI communication. Yes, the AMI highway traffic codes. Very good, Heather. So once you get in that graph line center, your box position location changes directions. You go line signal here, 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 line signal here. All of the position locations calculations. Connecting to the server line, you become a mainstream operation of a road system location. All right? So it's interesting how you look at these things and say, whoa, what is this? Well, this is your data stream. So it's all coming in position locations. You got XT1000 line centers, and each one line wire location, checking your line center, your codes, and making sure you are in your vibration location's position of time. Center line connections at all levels. They know exactly where you are in what position location directions. They know exactly where you are in calculation. They know exactly where you are in position of space. They know exactly where you are through relays. They know exactly where are you with initiate location. They know exactly where are you all time. All right? When you're sending out information, there's always XT1000s. Always. There has to be. Because if you're sending out the wrong information, they read track interference. Because if you don't do these things, it changes the atmosphere line. It changes its universal location of its grounds, guys. So getting into that position to its data stream, it opens up its electrical light connections, box interference location of time, right? So it's all about understanding structure and interference, hologram structure, location, how to travel through these things. Central lines is communication system. The XT1000 scans every single number in Highline Center into the center operation line stream in position locations of its data stream, of its operation line signal, of its communication system, of its Highline Center in its Skynet High system to its calculation modification connections. Wow. So it's important to understand what you're doing when you're traveling through vibration, what you're traveling through digital code line centers, or anything through your alpha line, waves, communication centers, operation signals, operation center line operation interference, or calculation XT1000s to the data stream interference. Okay. So how important is this to stay positive? If you're not sure you know what you're doing, if you're not sure to set up your shapes or in locations and it's coming out of your reality to project location, the sun and light and communication, the moon and the program location, and you're setting up position, they scan it right away. And if it's not in the right line center, they fix it and they put it where it's supposed to be. So this is where you come in adaptation of memory. If you can't understand how to set up a geometry center or anything in correlation to an high lines or anything through a hologram structure, you have to understand what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, they come to you. Okay. Your application line centers is off interference locations. You got to use your alpha channel back and your interference line center location. It goes at them. It's telling you exactly what you need to do and what you need to add position location calculation. When you're dealing with pyramids, when you're dealing with codes, when you're dealing with wire, when you're dealing with vibration, when you're dealing with grids and crystals, or anything through travel, that's where they come in, especially if you're changing your geometry of travel. All right. It's very important you understand these things, how to use your data streams to a server. All right. Because it's all levels of you. Because the thing is, if you don't understand line centers, you're going to be in overdrive location. So you come into deceleration line center. Calculation all line. Decelerate, not accelerate, which means line signals into XT1000 location of box line center. XT1000 comes into box location and puts a position offline connection. So you don't channel up in high center, you channel down in position location. All right. So it's how you recognize your line center interference. This helps and always informs, especially if you get in different colorations like this. Right, so let's say you use a color line center location of blue, right? Blue graph line center in position location of black over a triangulation, right? So next XT1000 comes in, 2 line center interference. Let's say, what are you doing? So this is you, in correlation, thinking of a triangle. You set location of a triangle. right? That's what your thought line is, right? XT1000 comes in, right away. You don't see it through perception until you understand you through your pyramid. Understand? All right. Get in that calculation. This is your pyramid, right? That's your pyramid. So understand your position. That's in the center line that comes out. That's your projection. It comes out of you, right? So as it comes out, highline center, the sun is here and the moon is here in rotation on standby, right? So the XT1000 line connections goes through the sun line. It's really interesting too. It goes right through the sun line. It goes right through, right to the L-line location. So it's all understanding. It goes into a T-line force line in communication. It opens up communication to a 3-line track location in position. Once it comes in that line center, the ground line center, it shapes its line in rotation, changes calculation to its outer line in the outer line rotation and 12-line position of sequence location calculations. It high streams its highline center. The XT1000 travels, okay, into the center of communication, right? Making sure you know what you're doing. So it always scans its position if it's offline. If it's offline, it goes into the center and fixes its location. So if the triangle is offline position like this, it puts it back in position. You understand? So once you understand that, it goes back in line center. You're back in communication system. You're good to go, right? Once you get in that triangulation, the XT1000 in the other line center scans position location of you. Downshift line center opens up a new highline center of a data stream into the sun line communication to a triangle force line. Okay, triangle force line communication. Now, understand that it comes into rainbow stream, overline protection location, energy field. High force is your communication system, right? So once that opens up through locations, you set line connections into your intention, into triangulation, travel line center. Now you can travel through your triangle location. Ooh-ah. It's all set, ready to go, right? All through confirmation. So there's so many ways to travel. Understanding how to travel through your pyramid of you is an acceleration. If you don't understand the acceleration, you come to decentralize. Centralize to decentralize. Modify to remodify. Recalculate to calculate, right? Revamp to vamp. You have to understand the difference between the two because it's positive and negative on every level. So if you're thinking of thought line and you're setting out in the graph line in position, the XT1000 is going, hey, what are you doing? That's not supposed to be there. You're putting something there that's not supposed to be there, right? So you truly have to understand how to use your pyramids of communication and sideline. This helps you and always informs and track location. Once you get into that position line string, it opens all levels. Then you can travel through it because it's all set up. And the XT1000 has already scanned everything, so you're good to go. The XT1000 goes back to the sun line through the moon line center, sets a new program location to your data stream. Boom, automatic. New number sequence comes in position locations. Once you release the 7 days a week, too much information, way too much information. Okay? So you have to understand the timeline, which is one clocking, one timeline, one activation, one stream. Okay? Not 7 streams, one stream. You see why you're so confused? Because there's not 7 days a week in space, only the now. So your data stream would be off so many levels of position location of calculation. This is all in one timeline, all at once. All right. So it's important you understand how to use your correlations, your digital framing, and your clockings through acceleration and deceleration. Okay. This is going to help you in all ways and forms to stay grounded with the mind system. So be careful when you're using your thoughts and where they're traveling through connections, right? So this is extremely advanced. You obviously know that because you don't know what I'm talking about. Some will resonate and some won't. Most of the higher realms. But it's better to understand why you are in this positions of not understanding this and not understanding this, but I do understand this a little bit more. So if you're setting up anything through letters, options, shapes, and symbols, be careful what you're doing. Because if you set up position location and it's not supposed to be there, they take it out of track location, right? Because the atmosphere line center is nothing but a grid. So you have to understand what the grid is and how it's set up, right? We'll get into that tomorrow. How the atmosphere line center sets laser line and rotation calculations, seeing grid location to point systems. So line stream line center in calculations. Now it's complicated stuff, but it has line interference, specification, directions. This is what the atmosphere line looks like in all space communication, right? So everything's set up, right? So it's all about understanding that the XT1000s has set up these structures for you to understand. You can't take number sequence off because it's all positioned to your pyramid. Your pyramid sets line signal locations to your connection. This opens all you through channel. How to use your digital line center is all levels of your emotional system. This is how you get in calculation to stay grounded in its pyramid activation string. Okay, that puts you in a high line center interference. Laser direct locations, XT1000 comes in and scans everything in information location calculation. All right, so we'll get more into that tomorrow. Right, how it's so important, how everything is set up for you in your space line and your time location to your sun and your moon through fluctuation. Right, you're creating an anomaly of your own space of time. You're creating your own grid. You're creating your own pyramids. You're creating your own atmosphere. You are creating your own hieroglyphic location of structure. Okay, so this is trying to understand how to communicate more inside through your digital coding, your digital weaving, your clocking system, your code weaving line systems, your code track line centers. I mean, it's fascinating where you go through navigation locations. This is going to get you a better understanding of what you're doing, right? So it's important to understand these things because if you put a pyramid line center in the center line connections, that is an error. So you've tripped the wires, XT1000 comes in, right? Comes in position locations. Here's an XT1000. There's an XT1000. Scans, what's that? What is that doing there? Takes it out, brings it up. Okay, it brings it up and takes it out. Whatever you put out, it's not supposed to be here, it takes it back out. See? There, it takes it back out because it's not supposed to be there. Not supposed to be there. So, do you see the importance of what your pyramid is? Transmitting and receiving information locations of you inside. It's your AI vessel. And there you go. So I think we'll stop there. There's a lot been said today. It's a lot to take in. You guys have a lot to take in. You got to whoa, okay, this is a major rush here. How am I going to put this all in frame? So this is the true understanding how you're basically set up through the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres of you. But now you get a better understanding why it's so important to understand you through your pyramid of you, right? Because it's a vessel of communication of you through space and time, all right? All right, so I'm going to take you guys out. High center interference. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, you're back. Took you guys out. You're back where you are through your ground perception locations. Line cross center. In position of directions, all level calculations, code signal location. You have to learn how to use hand signature patterns. We'll get into that. But I really want to get a cross signal location, how to use the grid line center and how an XT1000 checks everything before you set locations. All right. And your division line centers, your pattern interference location calculation. All right. Everybody have a wonderful day. Adios.